At the alley's entrance, Lan turned her head one last time before helping her mother onto the motorbike. The old house slowly faded behind them, while the rustling bamboo groves seemed to bid farewell to the woman who had spent half a lifetime there. No one knew where this journey would take her, only heaven and a mother's heart understood. She wasn't moving to the city for comfort, but to continue living for her children. The city morning was cloaked in smog. Lan's old motorbike weaved through narrow streets, the blaring horns making her mother dizzy, her hands gripping tightly onto the seat behind her daughter. Lan's three-story house stood in a cramped alley, tidy, modern, yet strange. It had been a long time since the old woman had stepped into the city, never imagining she would one day live in such a bustling place. As she wheeled the bike into the yard, Lan spoke quickly. "Rest for a bit, Mom. I've got a meeting this afternoon. A daughter-in-law today isn't as free as mothers used to be." The old woman nodded slightly, clutching her small bag as she stepped inside. Everything was neat and clean, but the cold glance of Hung, Lan's husband, made her heart sink. He barely looked up from his phone, muttering curtly, "Oh, hi Mom." She only smiled, though her heart tightened like a weary bird in an unfamiliar nest. That afternoon, Lan arranged for her mother to stay in the tiny room under the staircase, once used for storage. Together, they cleared out the clutter, set up a single bed, and spread a new mat. "You'll stay here for now, Mom. The house is small, no spare room. But you don't have much stuff anyway, so it should be fine." She didn't complain. She was long used to cramped spaces and hardship. That night, she folded her clothes into the new plastic cabinet. Each time footsteps passed by, she startled, pulling herself inward as though afraid of being a bother. The first meal was nothing like she imagined. The dishes were plentiful, but the atmosphere was cold. Hung finished eating and went upstairs. The two children ate silently, eyes glued to their phones. No one asked if she was managing, no one offered her food. Quietly, she picked up her own chopsticks, chewing slowly before setting them down. In her mind returned the image of old countryside meals, when her husband, Duong, never started eating until she sat down, when her children's chatter filled the table, and the fragrance of braised fish warmed the room. Here, there was only the dry clatter of bowls and chopsticks. That night, she lay facing the wall. The room was small, damp, the steady drip of water echoing. Strange pillow, strange mat, strange people under the same roof. She closed her eyes, trying to sleep, but only tossed and turned. As noisy as the house was by day, by night it was just as silent, a silence that pierced her chest. No one asked after her, no one spoke to her, each person locked in their own world. She felt like a forgotten, discarded thing. A week passed. Each day she washed dishes, swept the floor, helped with cooking. Yet she remained a stranger. The market was the only place she could breathe freely, where she heard familiar voices, where the piles of vegetables felt like home. One afternoon, she bought a ripe bunch of bananas and sat in a nearby park. Watching children play and adults chatting, she peeled a banana, eating slowly, eyes gazing far away, searching for a taste of familiarity. In the city's bustle, she felt adrift, wondering, was this a place to live, or merely a stopover? That day was stifling hot. In the wide, gleaming kitchen, cold and lifeless, she sat on a low plastic stool, trimming green beans, and felt a sudden wave of sadness. Lan came home, removed her mask, and hurried into her room, shutting the door. The fragile thread connecting her to this house seemed to snap. By 7, the meal was ready. Hot sour soup, braised pork, stir-fried pickled greens, enough for all 5. She carried the bowls and chopsticks, sitting quietly in a corner. Hung came downstairs with earphones in, mumbling about work. The children arrived too, eyes fixed on their screens. Lan served rice while urging, "Eat quickly, then do your homework. I have an online meeting tonight." No one invited her to eat, no one asked a word. She no longer expected it, she had grown used to the silence. In the countryside, even if she sat last, someone always placed a piece of fish in her bowl, ladled soup into her rice. Now, in this spacious city house, she was only a shadow. She served herself a small bowl of rice, added some cold soup, and picked a few stems of greens, her hands trembling. She wanted to take some meat, but held back. Lan was busy talking about work. Hung finished and went upstairs. The children left their bowls on the table and disappeared into their rooms. Left alone, she lowered her head, quietly finishing her cold rice. Her heart grew unbearably heavy, but no words could escape her lips. At the meal, only she remained with a tray of food half eaten. The kitchen grew quieter, leaving only the hum of the exhaust fan mingled with the slow, weary beat of an old heart. She stood up, cleared away each bowl, each pair of chopsticks, silently rinsing them under the tap. No one said a word of thanks, nor did anyone notice that the table had been wiped for the third time that day. That evening, she stepped out to the veranda, sitting down on the stone bench beside the wall where an orchid pot with dry roots rested. From her pocket, she drew a small notebook, a companion since the days back in the village. Inside were neat lines of writing. The day her first child was born, the day he took his first steps, the day the youngest finished high school. The last page closed with a short sentence. Rice can go cold, but if hearts turn cold, what warmth is left? She shut the notebook and lifted her gaze toward the flickering city lights. Amidst the crowded streets, tonight's meal felt colder than any winter night in the old village. On a sweltering June morning, she rose very early. In the kitchen, the broom brushed gently across the tiled floor, each stroke slow and soothing to her aging hands. Sunlight filtered through the trees at the gate, casting light onto her faded brown blouse. At that moment, Lan came downstairs, dressed neatly in her office clothes, frowning slightly at the sight of her mother bent over cleaning. "Mother, why tire yourself? Let me hire someone to help, you only need to rest." She smiled faintly, her voice soft as a breeze. "I'm used to keeping my hands busy. If I sit idle, I just feel lonelier." As Lan ate breakfast, she asked, half casually, half testing, "Do you plan to stay with us for a long while, or just a short visit before going back home?" Her mother froze, gripping the broom handle tightly, then replied with hesitation, "I can live anywhere, whatever is easiest for you. If it's not inconvenient, I'll stay a little longer." Lan glanced around, then lowered her voice. "Mother, you still keep that savings book, don't you?" The old woman stiffened, but quickly masked her reaction, answering slowly, "It's still back in the village, for when sickness comes in old age." Lan gave a small smile, a trace of calculation in it. "I'm not asking for it. Just that life in the city is expensive. If you could contribute a little to household expenses, it would ease things for us." Her heart sank at those words. She nodded, voice faint. "Yes, if needed, I'll help with what I can." That night, when the house was quiet, she quietly opened her old cloth bag. Tucked in her undershirt was a folded slip of paper with her savings written on it, just over 30 million dong, scraped together from selling vegetables, from funeral offerings when her husband passed, and from the occasional money her children sent home. She smoothed the paper flat and folded it back again, smaller this time. At her age, she knew she could only rely on herself. Outside the window, the yellow glow of the street lamp lit her face, etched with wrinkles. The distant roar of traffic mixed with the summer cicadas, making the vast, echoing house feel even more desolate.